The most unsettling thing about the Book of Enoch is not that it talks about angels, it is that it refuses to describe the universe as empty. Long before the New Testament was written, long before medieval theology fixed heaven into a simpler picture, Warren Enoch imagined a cosmos filled with movement, law, judgment, chambers, storehouses, living beings, rebellious beings, holy beings, monsters, spirits of the dead, and lights in the heavens that do not drift at random but move under command. If you come to this book looking for a modern science textbook, you will not find one. But if you want to know whether ancient Jewish apocalyptic writers imagined life beyond the ordinary human world, the answer is yes, absolutely. They imagined a universe crowded with inhabitants, each realm governed by its own order, and each order watched, measured, and named. And that is where this subject has to begin, because authenticity matters here. The Book of Enoch does not survive as one neat original manuscript hidden in a vault. It survives as a composite ancient work. Its only complete text is preserved in Ethiopic, but portions also survive in Greek, and crucially, Aramaic fragments of multiple sections were found among the Dead Sea Scrolls at Qumran. That matters because it means large parts of 1 Enoch are not late fantasy written in the Middle Ages. They are rooted in Second Temple Judaism, centuries before Christianity. At the same time, honesty matters just as much as drama. Not every sensational claim people make about Enoch is supported by the earliest evidence, and if we are going to ask what Enoch really says about other worlds, we have to separate the text itself from later hype built around it. The manuscript trail is one of the reasons the book still has such force. The Qumran finds confirm that Enochic writings circulated in Aramaic, and not as one single tidy volume. 11 Aramaic manuscripts of Enoch were found among the Dead Sea Scrolls. The Book of the Watchers is represented there. The astronomical book is represented there. Other Enochic materials are represented there. But one fact almost always gets ignored in sensational retellings. No fragment of the parables, chapters 37 through 71, has been found at Qumran. That does not mean the parables are worthless. It means a responsible reading has to distinguish between the sections anchored by early Aramaic evidence and the sections preserved mainly through later transmission. If you want real accuracy, you cannot pretend every strange passage stands on exactly the same manuscript footing. That same accuracy changes how we talk about canon. Warren Enoch is not part of the Jewish canon, and it is not part of the canon of most Christian churches. But it did not simply vanish, and it was not erased from history. It survived, and it survived most fully in Ethiopia, where the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church still lists Enoch among its canonical books. It also left marks elsewhere. The Epistle of Jude in the New Testament directly quotes 1 Enoch 1:9, which means at least some early Christians knew the text and treated it as authoritative enough to cite. So the real story is not that Enoch was a secret book buried forever. The real story is that it was influential, transmitted in multiple languages, quoted in early Christianity, preserved as scripture in Ethiopia, and yet gradually left outside the canon in most of the Christian world. Now here is the key question behind the title. When Enoch speaks about realities beyond ordinary earthly life, what kind of other worlds is he actually talking about? Not planets in the modern astronomical sense, not exoplanets with oxygen measurements and orbital charts. The language of first-time murderers. For Enoch belongs to ancient Jewish cosmology. It imagines heaven above, earth below, the ends of the earth, chambers of wind and weather, fiery abysses, prisons for transgressing stars and angels, dwelling places for the dead, places of punishment, places of blessing, and routes by which the sun, moon, and stars move. It is not the universe of NASA. It is a layered sacred cosmos, but it is also not vague. Again and again, Enoch names zones, boundaries, storehouses, portals, and inhabitants. The universe in this book is ordered territory. The first major place to see that is in the journeys of chapters 17 through 36. In those chapters, Enoch is taken through a sequence of cosmic regions. He sees the places of the luminaries. He sees treasuries of stars, thunder, and lightning. He sees a river of fire. He sees what the text calls the cornerstone of the earth. He sees 7 mountains of precious stone. He sees an abyss with columns of heavenly fire. He reaches places described as the ends of heaven and earth. He sees portals where the heavens open. This is not written like a loose mystical blur. It is written like a guided tour through a structured universe, one domain after another, with an angelic interpreter explaining what each place is and why it exists. And some of those regions are inhabited. One of the most striking is the prison of the stars and the prison of the angels. In chapter 18, Enoch sees 7 stars like great burning mountains, and he is told that this place has become a prison for the stars and the host of heaven. In chapter 21, he sees another terrifying place where stars are bound, and the explanation is explicit. These are stars that transgressed. The same cycle of visions also presents a prison house for angels. That means one part of Enoch's cosmos is not a paradise at all. It is a penal zone, It is a place of confinement for celestial rebels. The universe in this book is moral as much as physical. Even the heavens contain law, violation, and punishment. The beings who move through this cosmos are not random either. Chapter 20 gives the famous list of archangels and their functions. Uriel is over the world and over Tartarus. Raphael is over the spirits of men. Raguel is associated with vengeance in relation to the luminaries. Michael is given authority connected with the best part of humankind. Gabriel is over paradise, serpents, and the cherubim. Sariel governs spirits that sin. Remiel is associated with those who rise. Whether every detail in every manuscript tradition is identical is a scholarly question, but the basic point is unmistakable. The cosmos of where Enoch is administered. It has offices. It has guardians. It has jurisdictions. This is a living universe with a chain of command. Then the book moves into another class of inhabitants entirely, the dead. In chapter 22, Enoch reaches a mountain of hard rock with 4 hollow places inside it. There he is shown the separated regions, where the spirits of the dead wait until judgment. This is one of the clearest examples in ancient Jewish literature of an ordered afterlife before the final judgment. The dead are not pictured as dissolved into nothing. They are sorted. Their condition differs according to righteousness or guilt. One of the voices Enoch hears is Abel, still crying out for justice against the descendants of Cain. So another world in Enoch's map is not celestial in the narrow sense at all. It is the realm of the dead, structured, conscious, waiting, and morally divided. After that, Enoch is shown places of future blessing. He sees 7 magnificent mountains. He is shown a summit linked with the throne of God. He is shown a fragrant tree that later interpreters connect with the tree of life, reserved for the righteous after judgment. He is brought to what the text calls the center of the earth, identified with Jerusalem, and from there he sees valleys of curse and areas associated with final punishment. He also reaches the Garden of Righteousness in the east, where the Tree of Knowledge is located. What matters here is that Enoch's universe is not divided only into heaven and earth. It includes sacred geography within and beyond the earth, centers, edges, gardens, mountains, valleys, and appointed places where different beings belong. By the time you reach chapters 33 through 36, the picture becomes even wider. Enoch goes to the ends of the earth and sees portals of heaven opening. He sees great beasts. He sees birds differing in appearance and voice. He sees the gates of north, west, and south connected to weather and cosmic movement. The point is not that Enoch gives us zoology in the modern scientific sense. The point is that the edges of the world are not empty margins. They are populated thresholds. They are places where creatures appear, where heavenly traffic passes, where wind and weather enter the world, and where cosmic order touches the terrestrial one. This is why the Book of Enoch keeps pulling modern readers in. It does not imagine creation as silent matter. It imagines creation as inhabited structure, but now we need to be even more precise, because sensational retellings often jump ahead and claim Enoch is literally cataloging extraterrestrial civilizations on distant planets. The authentic text does not let us say that. What it does let us say is stranger in an ancient way. It portrays multiple non-human domains, each with proper inhabitants, each ordered by divine law, each tied to cosmic functions, judgment, or worship. If you want accuracy, you should say Enoch describes a populated cosmos, not a modern star map of alien planets. That becomes even clearer in the parables, especially chapters 40 through 43 and chapter 60. But this is also where honesty is non-negotiable. The parables are not represented among the Qumran fragments, so every claim about them has to be made with a textual caution in mind. Even so, the surviving Ethiopic text is full of cosmological material. Chapter 40 shows Enoch a heavenly court around the Lord of Spirits, with countless attendants and 4 named angelic presences: Michael, Raphael, Gabriel, and Phanuel. And this matters because some internet retellings twist chapter 40 into evidence for native populations on multiple planets. The chapter itself does not do that. It explicitly describes heavenly attendants before the throne, not citizens of separate inhabited worlds. Authentic reading means resisting the temptation to make the text say more than it does. Chapter 41, though, does expand the cosmic picture in a way that fits the title better. There Enoch sees the chambers of the sun and moon, the secrets of lightning and thunder, the divisions of the winds, and the paths by which the heavenly bodies move. The sun has its course. The moon has hidden invisible paths. Thunder and lightning have their own order. Clouds and dew come from appointed places. This is the ancient imagination at full force. Nature is not a machine left alone. It is a system of controlled powers. The heavenly lights do not just exist. They proceed and return. The winds do not just blow. They are divided and measured. The whole cosmos is a governed network. Then comes one of the most important corrections to the wild claims often made about Enoch. In chapter 43, Enoch sees stars and other lights of heaven, and he hears that God calls them all by name, and they obey. That sounds at first glance like a catalog of named cosmic populations, but the chapter immediately gives an interpretation. These are the names of the holy who dwell on the earth and believe in the Lord of spirits. In other words, the stars are not simply astronomical objects or extraterrestrial tribes. They are also symbolic. They carry a parabolic meaning. That single detail changes the whole conversation. The text does not allow a crude reading in which every luminary is just another inhabited planet. Sometimes the cosmic language in Enoch is literalized by modern readers exactly where the text itself signals symbolism. That does not make the book less interesting. It makes it more sophisticated. In Enoch, realities overlap. Stars can be heavenly bodies, obedient powers, and symbolic reflections of holy people. Angels can be personal beings and cosmic administrators. Prisons can hold both stars and fallen watchers. A mountain can be geological space and the site of divine enthronement. This is not sloppy writing. It is apocalyptic writing, where the structure of the cosmos and the structure of moral reality mirror each other. The worlds above are not separate from judgment below. They interpret it. Now, chapter 60 is where many readers feel the ground shift again because the text names creatures and elemental spirits in a way that sounds almost like a census of non-human life. Enoch sees two primordial monsters parted from one another on a single day: Leviathan, the female monster dwelling in the abysses of the waters, and Behemoth, the male monster occupying a desert wilderness on land. This is not alien life in the modern sense, but it absolutely is life assigned to distinct cosmic territories. Sea has its creature, desert has its creature. The world in Enoch is divided, and those divisions are inhabited. But chapter 60 does not stop with Leviathan and Behemoth. It goes on to describe the chambers of the winds, the powers of the moon, the places where thunder falls, and the spirits associated with sea, frost, hail, snow, mist, dew, and rain. Some of these are called angels. Some are called spirits. Some are both agents and forces at once. The spirit of the sea is strong. The spirit of hail is a good angel. Mist has its own chamber and angel. Dew dwells at the ends of heaven. Rain is measured and led out by angels for the nourishment of the earth. In modern language, we separate meteorology from mythology. Enoch does not. In Enoch, weather is part of the living administration of creation. And then there is the astronomical book, chapters 72 through 82, one of the oldest parts of the whole collection, and one of the sections most firmly anchored in Aramaic manuscript evidence from Qumran. This is where Enoch is shown the courses of the heavenly luminaries by the angel Uriel. The text describes 6 portals in the east where the sun rises and 6 in the west where it sets. The moon follows corresponding routes. The result is a precise 364-day calendar. This section is not primarily about exotic beings at all. It is about order, measurement, sequence, and correct reckoning. Yet that is exactly why it matters. In Enoch's worldview, the heavens are inhabited by obedience. They are full of lights that keep faith, follow commands, and reveal wisdom to humanity through their regular motion. So if we ask the question in the simplest possible way, what lives on each other world in the Book of Enoch? The answer is not one species after another, as though the book were an ancient science fiction atlas. The answer is that each realm has its own class of inhabitants. The highest heaven is the realm of the Lord of Spirits, the angelic court, and unnumbered attendants. The penal abyss holds rebellious stars and fallen angels. The hollow places under the mountain hold the spirits of the dead awaiting judgment. The sea depths contain Leviathan. The desert waste contains Behemoth. The storehouses and chambers of creation are linked to spirits or angels governing rain, dew, hail, frost, snow, winds, thunder, and lightning. The celestial routes are occupied by sun, moon, and stars moving under law. The sacred mountain and garden belong to the righteous future, to divine presence, and to life restored. That is the authentic answer, and it is more powerful than the internet version because it does not depend on forcing the text into modern categories. Enoch's other worlds are cosmic regions, not confirmed exoplanets. Its life includes angels, spirits, monsters, holy beings, condemned beings, and the dead. Its heavens are not empty physical distance. They are occupied order. Even the stars can be treated as obedient powers that answer when called by name. That is not modern astrophysics, but it is a radical vision of a universe alive at every level. This is also why the book mattered so deeply in the Second Temple period. First Enoch is not only speculation about strange places. It is a moral argument about reality. The cosmos is structured because judgment is real. The stars obey because rebellion has consequences. The dead wait because history is not finished. Leviathan and Behemoth are not there as decoration. They are reminders that creation is larger, older, and more dangerous than ordinary human life suggests. The chambers of wind and rain are not casual poetic touches. They declare that what looks natural from below is governed from above. and that helps explain why later readers struggled with it. Enoch is not easy to fit into cleaner systems. It is composite. It is visionary. It overlaps cosmology, angelology, judgment, calendar, and mythic geography. It was revered in some circles, quoted in Jude, and preserved in Ethiopia, yet it gradually fell outside the canon of most churches. Not because one council uncovered proof of alien civilizations and panicked, but because canon formation was complex, and because books like Enoch stood at the edge of scripture, apocalypse, speculation, and inherited tradition. The dramatic version of the story is tempting. The truthful version is stronger. This was a powerful ancient book that many communities valued, some preserved as scripture and others left outside the final canon while still echoing parts of it. And yet the survival of the book itself is extraordinary. The Ethiopic tradition kept the complete text. Scholarly work on the Dead Sea Scrolls confirmed that the Book of the Watchers and the Astronomical Book were genuinely ancient. The Library of Congress description of 4Q201 identifies it as an Enoch scroll copied around 200 to 150 BCE. The Israel Antiquities Authority preserves key fragments. Britannica notes that large parts of the Greek version were also known from Egypt. Put all of that together and the picture becomes clear. Enoch is not a late internet mystery. It is an ancient witness to how some Jews of the Second Temple era imagined the structure of reality itself. So the real truth about life on other worlds in the Book of Enoch is not that the text hands you a modern list of extraterrestrial races. The truth is that Enoch does something more foundational. It denies that human beings live in a flat, closed world by themselves. It describes a cosmos with multiple inhabited zones, heavenly court above, rebellious powers in chains, dead and waiting chambers, monsters assigned to sea and wilderness, elemental spirits managing creation, luminaries moving under command, and a future realm of righteousness prepared beyond corruption. That is the map, not the map of astronomy as we know it now, but the map of a sacred universe dense with presence. And maybe that is why the book still feels dangerous to modern readers. Not because it proves more than it does, but because it asks you to imagine more than modern life usually allows. In Enoch, creation is watched. Creation is measured. Creation is alive. The sky is not empty black space. The abyss is not vacant darkness. The wind is not only wind. The stars are not merely burning objects. Every level of reality is occupied, named, and accountable. The Book of Enoch does not reveal the modern truth about aliens on distant planets. What it reveals is an ancient truth far more unsettling. Our ancestors could imagine a universe full of life, power, and judgment long before they had telescopes, and they wrote as if the emptiest places in existence were not empty at all. If you want, I can next turn this into a cleaner, pure voiceover version with all citations removed while keeping the exact same facts and tone.